This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the Men's Room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Steve Throwhill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. And today is short and sweet. Ted, I don't know. I know you're into formula racing. I'm not sure if this guy is involved in this. He's a British auto racing driver. He was the 2012 Renault Clio Cup United Kingdom champion. Had a few down years, and believe it or not, he almost didn't even make it into the field. But then again, in the year 2020, he decided to rejoin a team, Tony Gillam's team, all right?
All right.
Tony Gillam his team had never had an overall win. Our hero here, toward the end of the race, he actually had to go into the pit because he had to change his wet tires. When he pulled out of the pit, he was in last place. Believe it or not, he made quick progress to the field of experienced drivers, and alongside another teammate, he stormed to the front of the field to lead the rest of the race into the checkered flag, giving Tony Gillam his team's first overall win. This is impressive stuff from the underdog, Jack Goff.
Jack Goff came from behind?
Jack Goff came from behind and won the race. Wow. Yes, indeed. Jack Goff. Go ahead, look him up. He's pretty fascinating story, man. I mean, a couple times it looked like he was going to be a superstar. Other times it looks like he was falling out of racing. But no, in 2020, Jack Goff. That's damn right. Came shooting out of the back.
Bam.
And boom. The team got the first win. Jack Goff.
I bet after that he went in and took an extra long shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with a 14-year-old shower.
You looking him up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right? Impressive guy.
What are you doing today? Nothing?
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's toast Jack Goff.
In 2019, he raced for Team Hard.
I know. You saw that, too?
Yeah.
So we pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola bijola.
The Men's Room presents Profile This.
And Steve Throwhill, could you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes a story a story. Hello, Ashley. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola.
Hola. All right, Ashley, you understand how this your game is played?
Indeed, I do.
Fantastic. You have your choice of one of three stories. The Wonderful World of Drugs. We have Bite Me. In other words, what did someone find in their food? And finally, Interior Decorating, where you guess the foreign object that ended up on the inside of someone.
Let's go with drugs.
All right, here is your story. Bernard Green of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He had glass pipes, syringes, 2 digital scales, plastic baggies, and other drug paraphernalia in his Hyundai. Police there reported that he was on patrol shortly before 8:30 p.m. when he saw Green make an illegal U-turn, prompting several drivers to slam on their brakes to avoid crashing into him. Well, he turned on his lights and sirens, but Green refused to stop and started to speed up. The police officer decided to stop the chase, for safety reasons. However, Deputy Joel Torres successfully spiked the Hyundai's tires, and Green and a woman then jumped out of the car and started running away. Well, patrolling deputies, they started searching for him, and eventually they found him and arrested him. They could not find the woman. However, he's facing charges of trafficking 10 grams or more of all kinds of drugs, 14 more grams of a different kind of drug, 4 more grams of another kind of drug, as well as another drug and another drug. Possession of drug equipment. Oh, this guy was like the party piñata, if you will. So my question for you is, what drug did he not have on him? Which drug did he not have? Was it heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, or crack? So heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, or crack. He had 3 of those, but only one of them he did not have.
What did you say he had? Like, what did they find in the car?
So as far as what they found in the car, initially, glass pipes, syringes, 2 digital scales, plastic baggies, and then, as they say, other drug paraphernalia. So obviously this guy's a dealer, but then he was dumb enough to also have multiple different types of drugs in the car with him.
Oh, clearly. That's very evident. Ted, what do you think?
I mean, glass pipes would suggest he had crack to smoke.
Absolutely.
But also, I feel like between heroin, cocaine, and ecstasy, crack's probably the cheapest. So maybe he didn't have that in his arsenal stuff he was selling. But I guess you could use the glass pipes to freebase the coke. I don't know why I'm explaining how to do drugs.
I was going to say, that's
What's up, kids? I'm going to go
I'm surprised that you know that, Ted.
Taking you to school.
I'm going to go with he did not have crack.
Ted says crack.
He didn't rock it up.
Actually, I'm going to go ecstasy because I feel like it's hard to find. Not that I've been looking.
Miles, I agree with you.
You going to go with me?
You agreed very quickly. What have you guys been looking for?
Where should we go? Ashley, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Outback Steakhouse? What do you want, a nice dinner out, man? Golden Crown? All right, so...
You can buy me bloomin' onion.
Hey, man, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
We'll get half those and half the Aussie fries. You know
not getting a bloomin' onion at Outback's like not getting the breadsticks at Olive Garden.
Oh, you mean you get a bloomin' onion at Outback? Gotcha.
He thought you meant the sex move.
Right, exactly. I thought you were going to give me the bloomin' onion.
It's illegal in 48 states. Luckily, Washington's still cool.
I'm just sitting over here with an onion tower.
Right. It tastes funny, but...
I'm trying to think if a bloomin' onion was hanging from a man if I'd still eat it because it's so delicious.
Have you been golfing during the day? Chances are yes.
All right, we're going to find out what this guy did not have on him. Was it heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, or crack next?
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Oh, fiddlesticks! What, Wilbur? We just got hit and I think my back is all been out of shape.
You gotta talk with those whippersnappers at the Advocates Law Firm. They're the best injury lawyers around.
What? Pipe down, Clarence! Abner's telling me about the lawyers and the advocates. So what happened to you, Abner?
I was walking across the street with the light when some young punk came screeching around the corner. I lost a toe.
What? Shut it, Clarence! If you get injured, the advocates get results.
AdvocatesLaw.com.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Our category is drugs. On profile list, Florida man had drug paraphernalia and a whole bunch of drugs in his car. Led police on a chase until they spiked his tires. His girl, she ran off. They couldn't find her, but he was arrested. Question is, he had so much stuff on him. What did he not have? Heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, or crack?
And Ashley, that is the very question that we posed to you. Let us start, well, with you. You agree with Miles and that ecstasy was not the drug.
Sorry, Ashley.
Ashley, you and Miles are looking for drugs. Our friend here in this story, he's got them. He's got the ecstasy you're looking for. Well, not anymore, but however, it was not ecstasy. No. Now, he's here for the good times, the hugs, and the dancing. Ted, you went crack.
I did.
And you started with the glass pipes. So that's good for smoking crack. But then you're like, well, that's a low dollar value regarding other drugs. And what's terrifying about that is you are correct. It was, in fact, crack. The only one he did not have. He had cocaine. He had heroin. He had ecstasy. He had meth. He had a few other ones. But I was impressed with your reasoning. Like, oh, he's got glass pipes. And see, that's why I thought people would go crack. But then you're like, nah, he's slinging some more high-dollar crap than that.
You find ecstasy, you'll find some cocaine.
You know what? You're right. They kind of go hand in hand.
Now for all TV news all time for TV Time with Ted.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box, the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
All right, your choices. Seth Meyers.
The
Jim is.
Kimmel Fallon.
Writers. Ted Smith.
Is it Ted or is it late night?
It is right there at the title. All these guys have teams of talented writers that help them come up with their monologues each and every night. It is up to you to determine, is this an actual late night joke and from whom? Or could it be a The Ted Smith original?
After more than 2 years, Costco is dropping its pandemic shopping hours that are reserved for seniors. Costco said we once again feel it's safe for seniors to be stampeded for toilet paper.
Fallon.
Yeah, Fallon.
That's Fallon.
After more than 2 years, Costco is dropping its pandemic shopping hours that were reserved just for seniors. Yep, Costco said we feel it's once again safe for seniors to be stampeded for toilet paper.
The NCAA basketball tournament is underway. It's that special time of year where the whole country comes together to gather around our televisions and ask, what the hell channel number is True TV?
The Ted Smith.
God, I hope that's you, Ted.
Kimmel.
The NCAA basketball tournament is underway. This is that special time of the year when the whole country comes together to gather around our televisions and ask, what the hell channel number is True TV?
Say, you guys got to remember, Ted's a big fan of Impractical Jokers, and that's all they play on True TV.
True TV.
Exactly which one.
When I hit last, True TV always comes up. Mike, you're exactly right. Love that channel. They got some goofy movies on there sometimes, too. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, Krispy Kreme will release 4 new flavors of donuts. Though if you really want to honor the Irish, I think you should do no flavor.
Writers.
Ooh. Seth Meyers.
That was Meyers.
In honor of St. Patrick's Day, Krispy Kreme will release 4 new flavors of donuts. Though if you really want to honor the Irish, I think you do no flavor.
You know, there are potato donuts.
Really?
Yeah, they're rare, but there's one in this state. I think it's out near Spokane.
Are they still sweet, or is it more of a savory thing?
They are. They're just made with different yeast.
Well, potato bread is sweet.
That's what I mean. So I don't know.
I can't figure that out either. What? Sweet. I have potato bread. Hello, potato bread here. Jesus. That's the one you go to.
I'm sorry. It's a word I grew up with.
I'm here.
In the world of sports, the NCAA basketball tournament is about to start, and an estimated $10 billion will be wagered on games this year, which is about 30% more than the Super Bowl. Most of the winners are just hoping to pay for gas.
The Ted Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Damn it.
It's a hell of a setup, too, to get there.
I was trying to throw you off.
I know.
So I always write them short like Myers. I was like, I'll
Yeah.
stretch it out like Fallon does. The Senate unanimously passed a bill to make daylight savings time permanent. I don't think people were this happy when Pfizer announced they had a vaccine. Narrator, they weren't.
Seth.
Yeah, Myers.
Fallon.
The Senate unanimously passed a bill to make daylight savings time permanent. Oh! I don't think people were this happy when Pfizer announced they had a vaccine. And
Country legend Dolly Parton announced that she will remove her name from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ballot. But Dolly's not going to like this. They're replacing her on the ballot with Jolene.
The Ted Smith.
Yeah. That's Seth.
Country legend Dolly Parton announced that she will remove her name from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ballot. But Dolly is not going to like this. They're replacing her on the ballot with Jolene.
I have this picture. I saved it in my phone. It's like a meme, and it's just like Dolly Parton in her prime, wearing like lingerie or blonde hairs up, and just like, you really got to think, like, what the hell does Jolene lady have?
I know. 3 breasts.
Yeah, something like that. I talked about a little bit earlier today. We were doing a live video. There's a show on National. So like, this is what people should know. My home is mainly sports, True TV, and the National Geographic. All right. I was talking about watching the Alaska shows, like port protection and this and that. So I watched another one called Something Bit Me. So, like, the one last night was about a snake in the Grand Canyon, but they didn't even know it was a rattlesnake. Right. And there's a specific type of rattlesnake that lives only in the Grand Canyon.
Of course.
I believe it's called a canyon rattlesnake.
Snooty ass. Crazy.
Right, it's just weird because it's like it bit her. They didn't even know. It bit through her shoe. There was only one puncture.
Okay, right. So you're not thinking.
So they weren't really sure. Then they find out, like, right, and it's a daughter in her 20s with her dad. This is a trip of a lifetime. They're going to go hiking together. Right, they're obviously big outdoor enthusiasts.
Yeah, sure.
Right, so then she toughs it out overnight. Then the dad's feeling bad. They finally fly her out. The dad's got to get to the hospital. Find out she gets antivenom. She's allergic to that.
The hell's allergic to antivenom?
Right, like she said, she goes, look, if this never would have happened, I never would have known.
No, there's no reason you would know.
Yeah.
And antivenom is the venom.
Right.
But this show is wild, man. Like, there's always a couple people in an episode. The other episode was a guy that was spearfishing in a little lagoon down, I want to say, in South America.
All right.
And he comes up for air, and there's a crocodile. And it bit him on the head.
And he got out, too.
But he barely lives. And they're like, look, man, his tooth missed your main vein there by, I've
had that before.
Right.
Wrong head.
Right. It's just like you could have died. But I don't know if I told you guys, the terrifying one, I was telling Mike this, was a bunch of dudes, right? They're a little bit older now, so they're probably like mid 40s, like right around, like they got to do some project or some trip, right?
All right.
Now they're not doing like, hey, let's go have fun. They want to do a serious hiking trip. So they go up to Alaska. Like, a couple of them had mountain deer at some mountains. So they're serious dudes. And I didn't realize this, but only Alaskan residents can have firearms with them on these trips.
Okay. Huh.
So, like, if the 4 of us went up there, which we should never do, just to that place, like, we can't bring a 44 or 45 with us to shoot a bear because we're not residents.
Okay.
We can bring bear mace, like that kind of stuff. So they get to the spot. It is beyond desolate. There is nobody else around, right? And they set up this crappy little electric fence. And then the first day they're out there, they see some polar bears, right? And keep in mind...
they're that far north.
That far north.
Jesus, man.
Polar bears. And keep in mind, polar bears are one animal that'll actively hunt a human. Like, it doesn't care
if it
for weeks.
Smells you, yeah. Right. Because they got to eat.
So they see a couple, they run off, and then they see one that's only like 60 yards away. And this bear's just staring at them. And it's kind of creeping them out. Finally, like at dusk, the bear walks off. So again, they have this crappy little fence that's battery powered. Guy wakes up in the middle of the night, feels like there's something outside his tent. This bear grabs him by the head.
Jesus.
Drags him out into the darkness. Everybody hears him screaming. They don't have guns. They shoot their flare guns to kind of scare the bear. But the bear just drops dude. Now they're next to a river in the middle of nowhere at nighttime. So it's terrifying. They finally stumble upon this dude, this and that. Luckily, one guy's a medic. They got to wait for a helicopter the next day. People show up with guns. They're like, we're going to protect you guys. And they're like, you guys are like in the middle of bears. So they point out like 17 polar bears. Basically, these polar bears, from the moment they set up camp, these polar bears were just waiting to attack and eat them.
Yeah. Jesus. So that's why I don't camp in Alaska.
Yeah,
man. I like a pool on vacation, like maybe.
But you tried to go up Rainier.
Yeah, there's no polar bears.
But there's no polar bears.
Polar bears, but it's still wildly dangerous.
The most dangerous thing up there on the mountain.
I feel like, but I do feel like there's a difference where you go like, look, we're going to try to summit this mountain. Okay. You can say Mount Everest. I understand the inherent danger of it. It would be so much different if they're like, hey, just for one season only, Mount Everest has introduced polar bears. Like, No.
One thing about
I will say, in their defense, because a lot of these guys had done crazy hikes like that, like serious mountaineering. So they're looking for the next adventure. Now, the bears don't always congregate here. But what they didn't realize would have been like a warm spring and this and that. So the sea ice had left. So that's the issue with polar bears.
Right.
Like they prefer to be on the sea ice. But sometimes they get stuck on shore. So now they can't hunt seals. So they're just like, I got to find a meal.
Right.
A helicopter drops off 6 human beings.
Man. Yeah, that's an airdrop.
I think
right
the terrain's the most dangerous thing about Rainier. Like having a cornice fall off, or rocks falling down, or falling into a crevasse.
But I would still rather risk that than saying there's polar bears.
But there's probably mountain lions for sure. I've heard reports of wolverines. I just don't know where they are.
Right here?
Specifically in Washington, but I've heard that they are here.
I saw a marmot.
A marmot?
Marmot.
Yeah.
Marmot.
They're
kind of cool looking.
Yeah, everybody.
They don't look intimidating.
I don't think badgers and wolverines do, but those are tough SOBs.
All those honey badgers on the east side of Washington are vicious. I've seen them throttle huge rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Where you're like, and you hear it, and there's dust, and you're like, oh my God, man, he just wiped that guy out in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Badgers are mean.
They're all over Brewster. They're all up in that area.
But either way, check it out, National Geographic. Like I always say, there's National Geographic Wild. I'm not positive the difference. They show the same shows. I think National Geographic Wild, maybe they come out first.
So what do they call the show again? Something Bit Me?
Something Bit Me. But it's a pretty cool show.
It was a homeless cat on methamphetamine.
Actually, I like those kind of they wrap it all up in one episode. You get the whole story.
And there's 2 stories like in each episode.
Okay.
Right? So you're kind of hearing both stories. You're like, oh, I wonder what happened to Crocodile Guy. It's like, back to Crocodile Guy. Like that dude.
Oh, so they interweave them in between.
Right. So last night was the Crocodile and Snake Girl. And then the first one was polar bear dudes. I can't remember what the other part of that. I'm just amazed. Anytime an animal attacks a human and is big enough to put their whole head in their mouth.
Yes.
Like being dragged off by a bear. Sounds terrifying. But like he's saying, like he's in the freaking mouth of this thing, and it's like slobbering on him. He could smell it. There's blood all over him.
Worst one to me is still that story out of Australia. They'll never do it. But the guy is absolutely screaming his head off as this great white eats him alive.
Oh, yeah.
And people witnessed it, and they filmed it, and they saw it. And the one guy who's a fisherman on the shore is throwing up because of what he is seeing.
Sure, man.
I cannot believe the horror of it. This guy was just out for his daily swim. 18-footer. I mean, literally just chomping on him.
I mean, look, Nate, at the end of the day, whatever humans do, like when nature wants to, whether it's animals or just weather, like nature could take over. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And at least I feel like with animals, now sharks are different because they're in the water. Like you have an outside chance, there's stuff you can do. Right. But when you're talking like, tsunamis and rogue waves and stuff from the ocean, like, there ain't much you can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, luckily, those dudes that were with Polar Bear they were smart enough to have their flare guns to kind of scare that polar bear away. But, yeah, when the next day when the dude shows up, it's like, yeah, there's 17 of them. They've been surrounding you. Like, they're going to eat you guys. Mm-hmm. Like, get us out of here.
Yeah, don't tell me that. Let's go.
Again, I like a pool. A book. You know what I mean? Something like that.
I like being out in nature for a vacation, but like this summer, I'm going to go to Montana in a cabin on a lake.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
do you know what could kill you out there?
In Montana?
Yeah.
Just them ladies.
Besides the Grizzly brother. They all got married when they were 14, too. They're all taken. They're all taken.
I'm only going to the bars during the day. but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's, like, I might go on a hike or something, but, like, I don't need to be desolate, like, can't find anybody.
I agree.
Like, that's cool. Like, we're in Montana. Throw out good news for you. Jimmy Fallon tonight has on the very funny, as you always say, Amy Schumer.
Oh, my favorite. The two of them together? Yeah.
Thank you, Ted. We appreciate it. You are listening to The Men's Room.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process. except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Well, great balls of fire, Bubba. What happened, Bilford? That crazy son of a Sal blew right through that four-way stop on Main Street and plowed into my cowboy Cadillac.
Your what?
My pickup truck. And I'm pretty sure my leg is broken, Ted. Oh, quit your bitching, Buford, and talk with those side busters at the Advocates Law Firm. When I got busted up last month, well, shoot, they made sure those snakes at the insurance company played fair.
Boy, howdy. Even that creepy so-and-so Kyle earned his keep.
So if you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go as we head to St. Paul, Minnesota for a woman who walked into a Target with a golf club. Meanwhile, Tennessee police pull over a drunk driver, and in his car basically was a mini pub. We go to Canada for a man who was rollerblading around Victoria swinging a hockey stick. A carjacker learns his stupidity by the car he did pick. And JetBlue passengers are surprised to learn that all the JetBlue employees at the airport, they went home. It's time for your headline.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's my cock.
All right, our top story, we go to Massachusetts, where a pilot had an embarrassing announcement. The plane landed at Worcester Regional Airport at 12:15 a.m. and told passengers the embarrassing news that there was nobody to help them off the plane. Apparently, they arrived to an airport that hadn't placed a crew member at their gate to assist folks off the plane and were required to wait an additional 45 minutes before they were able to disembark.
I keep reading this. I'm like, what is the goddamn help you need to leave the plane? Or is it like just putting up that sky bridge thing?
I think it's part of that. They also don't have a crew to take the luggage out from underneath the plane.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. I had a situation where I couldn't get into a gate on a late flight.
Okay.
So they were waiting for the gate to open. Even though the other gates were open, you still have to go to the designated one where your people are, where your employees are. So we're waiting for the gate, we're waiting for the plane to unload, and then of course they have to take all the luggage out.
Yep.
And then we get in there, and it's 12:05. Well, the rental car place closed at 12. So the 25 minutes that we waited to get off that plane, so I walk out to get my rental car, which I've already paid for, and I'm like, oh God. And so then I tried to Uber it, and it turns out Uber basically does the same thing. Last flight gets in at midnight, and most of those people go away from the airport.
Right.
Because there's nobody really necessarily coming in, and it's never that late.
Right.
So I'm just standing there, and the guy comes back. He's like, I was sitting here, man, for an hour, and there was nothing, and then I get here. So I turned all the way around and came back from home. And it's like, well, thanks for that, brother, because I'm screwed.
Yeah, same thing happened to me when I landed in Kansas City. At 1 o'clock in the morning, it's hard to find an Uber driver. Anyway, the airline was working with the airport and local authorities to figure out what exactly went wrong there.
Lack of communication.
Right. You didn't.
That's what you knew a goddamn flight was coming in. It was scheduled to come in, and somehow this was not communicated to the people at the airport. Like, hey guys, we have one more flight coming in.
In other news, we go to Victoria, BC for the most Canadian headline. It says, quote, rollerblading, hockey stick wielding man chases woman in downtown Victoria and steals her toque. Toque, I had to look up, but that's actually that beanie
hat with the ball on
top. It's a
top.
beanie with a pom-pom
I did the same thing. I'm like, is that a religious garment? That's what I thought at first.
Did you rip off a robe from somebody?
Right, that's what I'm like, oh man, that sounds serious. I'm like, took her goddamn hat. Oh,
Right. What did you call
a hat.
it? We called them toboggans. I know that's a sled term, but
I've always called it a beanie.
Toboggans.
And it's a beanie cap, and to be honest with you, I know that covers a lot of different beanie caps, but these ones just have pom-poms on them is what I...
And I mean, it was a hat, and either had the pom-pom on it or not. I never had like a different name for that versus a regular knit cap.
Yeah, I'm with you. I call them all beanies, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of the ones with the big fluffy ball on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like the kind of your favorite NFL team in the 70s.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, the problem is I feel like I can only rock it's got to be cold out. Like, I have a couple, and I like them. But, like I have a beanie I'm going to wear tonight, like, to the Kraken game, but I'm like, it's not that hot.
Right.
But in the 70s, man, you could not get a knit cap that did not have that goddamn ball on top.
Like, you're wearing a cap right now.
No ball on top. Yeah.
Right, but if you had the ball on the top, I'd be like...
I'm still saying that he's wearing a beanie, though.
It seems a little silly at that point.
Yeah, you look like you're in South Park.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, the headline says most of it. Police got multiple calls of the man causing a ruckus downtown on rollerblades and armed with a hockey stick, hitting garbage cans and business windows. Things got serious when a woman called to report that he chased her down the street and eventually stole her toque, but was not injured in the incident, thank heavens. Police managed to catch up with him, and after a short scuffle, were able to arrest him. So there's that. Speaking of sports weapons, we head to Minnesota where a woman in West St. Paul decided to tear up a local Target. Not much is known about her motive, but authorities were called after the woman entered the store and began to damage property inside on a full-scale rampage. Shortly into her tornado of destruction, she armed herself with a golf club that she found in the store and upped the scale of damage. Police arrived on the scene as employees were evacuating the store and found her in the electronics section, damaging all kinds of property. She's since been arrested, though the Target has not yet reopened. Yes. And in the world of local sports, we do have your Seattle Kraken hosting the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes open for the Ted Smith as he's going to be there cheering on the team.
He'll buy you a beer. So cheap.
Stop.
So cheap.
Not funny.
So cheap.
And that is it for your headlines with that. Go Kraken. Mike Hawk is out.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. More Men's Room's up next with the Men's Room Happy Hour exclusively on the Odyssey app.
Yeah, Ted, that joke's funny until you get the climate pledge.
Yes, it really is. It's not funny at all.
And I'm going to this one. All right, bitches, we are out of here until tomorrow. Please do what you do best, and for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network. Oh, man! A Double Flush production.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.